All right, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of Here's the Thing at the End of the Day. We're here a little bit earlier this time. This is Hank, and I'm with Ricky. And Ricky, what are we talking about
All
today?
right, so today we are going to be discussing our Phillies, what they've been doing in the offseason. Do we like what they're doing? Do we not like what they're doing? Then we're going to be talking about, at some point, we're going to talk about our teams, obviously, as well as the fantasy football starts and sits. We're also going to talk about the sexual harassment allegations that have been coming out across more or less not just sports, but everywhere in general. Then we're going to be talking about the XFL's possible return. Would that be good? Would that not be good?
Mhm.
And then I believe that's it, unless I missed.
Talk about our games too.
Yeah, I
Our
brought that up.
fantasy football, right?
Oh, and the Seahawks. The Seahawks player getting only fined and not suspended.
Hmm. Some nude pictures. Roger Goodell somewhere in Michael Bennett's closet. All right, so
All right, so let's get started.
you want to talk about the Phillies first and the signing of this man? Who doesn't like them some Santana? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm actually very I'm actually in favor of what the Phillies have been doing over the past couple weeks. First they get the new manager who I don't know why, like I think it was a good move to bring this guy in. He's young. I think that that's important, especially when you have a younger team. Um because if you have an older manager, you can't really build something over time. So I think this guy will be good, even though he's had some interesting press conferences, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
What else? They traded Freddie Galvis to, I believe, the Padres for a pitcher.
Yeah, they traded him.
And I'll be honest, that was probably a good move because we do need pitchers. And in all honesty, I feel like that the team is so stacked with talent.
Wow.
There's a young talent.
Yeah, I mean, they started out last season pretty well, but then they, like in typical Phillies fashion, they once they got over 500, they stopped winning.
Yeah. There was, and I will admit that there was a couple things that were wrong. Obviously, the pitching core is a huge reason why. Obviously, Aaron Nola is probably the only solid pitcher we have. Outside of that, they all suck. Um, but then this is what's the interesting move. They bring in Carlos Santana, who's played catcher and first base. Hmm?
Keep going. Keep going.
Not a problem. And what I believe they're most likely going to put him at first base, and a lot of people are asking, well, what do we do with what's his face, Rhys Hoskins? Well, Rhys Hoskins has been playing outfield for a considerable amount of time, so we've been kind of just like just swapping him in and out. In all honesty, we could just put him in the outfield, but at that point we have so many freaking outfield prospects. It's like Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like what is it? Like I believe there was like some statistic or whatever that said like the Phillies had like the top like 3 out of the top 5 prospects or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
But like the point is like, you know, I believe that the Phillies are definitely going in the right direction. I think that they're finally becoming one of those teams where like the market well, it's not a small market, but it's just like a market in which it's like I can go to that team and not worry about just being on like at a sub 500 team because I'm thinking that the Phillies can get to 500 this year, especially with the move.
I don't think so, but I think that they'll be. I think they'll get close.
Yeah, like that's why I said near
I
or
think they'll be somewhere. I think they'll teeter somewhere like 45% of their games won.
which that's not bad. I mean,
It's not terrible.
we just need something.
Seeing as though the last few years have been a lot worse, could be worse.
Yeah,
Could always,
exactly.
could always, it could always be worse, people.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people saying like this was, I don't want to say it was a bad move, but like the sense of like we paid him too much money. But from what I've heard, for 60 million for 3 years, that's pretty much near bargain.
Hmm.
But I mean, and in all honesty, this is probably the best move. You have to bring in veterans for the young guys because, we've seen what it's like just having a bunch of young players. It doesn't work. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think the Phillies are going in the right direction. I think the biggest glaring issue is, of course, the pitching rotation, and that's going to take some time to fix. But other than that, I think the Phillies are close to. They're getting closer. I think the rebuild is going to take about another year or two, and then
Yeah,
it'll be okay.
we're gonna be rebuilding for a while. For
For the rest of our lives.
the rest of your life, Ricky will be rebuilding.
Hey, but at least you know what? At least you got to see a World Series championship out of it.
That's like the icing on the cake.
Anywho, so let's move on. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Jesus, what do we want to talk about next?
Let's talk about the Seahawks.
Okay, yeah, sure. So for those that are unaware, the Seahawks pretty much got yeah, go ahead.
Are a bunch of scumbags.
Yeah, yep. In all seriousness, though, the Seahawks players. Now, for those that are unaware, there was a fight in the Jacksonville-Seattle game at the end, and it involved Michael Bennett getting into a big scuffle with Jacksonville and a bunch of other players. But I guess you could say the highlight of it was when the one guy, I think it's Jefferson. I don't remember what his last name.
I forget. It was number 99.
Yeah. Anywho, that dude got a beer thrown at him, and he charged a fan in the stands. Now, obviously, that fan is gonna get banned for life because they're an idiot, and I don't know why you would do that. But
of course, because he's an idiot.
Yeah, obviously. But
I will. Go on.
Wait, sorry, I was just gonna say, like, just because someone throws something at you, like you as a professional player, yes, would I have gotten angry in that situation? Yeah, absolutely. But you have to realize that they got off really lucky, and I felt like, one of them should have gotten at least one player suspended.
Yeah.
It's completely ridiculous how all of them just got fines. But my logic in that is just probably
Michael Bennett didn't get anything.
Yeah, I know. And what did he do? Like actually punch people?
No, Blake Bortles took a knee, and Michael Bennett, like, he was grabbing the offensive lineman's leg and like pinning him to the ground. That dude, I will have to say right now, that dude has complete anger, like really horrible anger issues. And the Bennetts, they're douchebags. I mean,
yeah, I know. I know because Martellus was drafted by the Cowboys.
So is Michael. They're both trouble, and I'm perplexed at one hand that he didn't get anything, but at the on the other end, like, I'm not, because that's what usually happens for Michael Bennett. He usually gets off real easy for some reason. I have no idea how. I think the other thing was did you know that he is a Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate?
No.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. What did he do?
I think that's why it would have tarnished everything, because
yeah,
year candidate. But the other guy, I forget his name, number 99. I'll say this: he got beer thrown on him. It looked like he got a pack of like vegetables, at like the supermarket. I don't know if you have ShopRite, right?
Yeah, we got ShopRite. Well, we got a bunch of stuff. Yeah, but we got
ShopRite, but like you could get like the carrots and
oh yeah,
carrots and celery and
yeah,
in those little bags. It looked like he got it thrown at him, but those fans should not be allowed at another NFL game. That's inexcusable as a football fan to even do that. I feel like throwing beer. like getting a snowball thrown at you is different in the sense of like it's a snowball. Kids
It's literally just
throwing snowballs. But you get beer thrown on you, like that's like the ultimate diss. Like as a man, to get beer like thrown on you. So
yeah.
and we're adults. We shouldn't be throwing beer on people. But at the same time, I was trying to tell people this, and you know,
Yeah.
He at his press conference at the end, he was like, "Man, I'm a human being. I'm a man. I've got emotions." It's like, yeah, you got emotions. That's true. Like, but you're also getting probably like he probably makes $4 million a year. He's on TV every Sunday during the football season. You have to learn how to control yourself. And honestly, I feel bad for him as a person, but I don't feel bad for him as a football player because now everyone looks back at it. He's the guy who climbed up the wall to try to beat the crap out of fans, Ron Artest style.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the issue with, and it doesn't have to go with just the Seahawks, just like suspensions and punishments in general. The NFL has done such a horrible job at giving out punishments for the longest time. And no, I'm not just saying that because as a Cowboys fan, Zeke pretty much got.
You are just saying that.
Yeah, I am. But but the point is that this is the issue. You have certain situations where suspensions are warranted, like the Gronkowski situation where he unpurposefully like injured.
He torpedoed torpedo headbutted a player.
Yeah, and injured them, and it's like, yeah, that deserves a suspension. And and here's my thing: considering now, I'm thinking it should have been like if everything was balanced, that probably would have been a game or two. But considering the fact that they also suspended Smith-Schuster for that block on Burfict, which in my opinion was clean.
I don't think it was clean, but I also don't think it warranted a suspension.
Well, the point is it didn't really warrant a suspension.
It's a personal foul. It's a personal foul. I don't think it was clean, but I don't think he should have been suspended.
Yeah, and that's the issue because like if Juju gets suspended a game, then Gronkowski deserves at least 3 if you're trying to equal out stuff. But the point is that the NFL has done a horrible job issuing punishments over the past couple years, and it's not even like it's all because of perception and public. Like many people think they're just doing it to do the right thing, but in all seriousness, they're just doing this for the sake of their image.
Yeah,
like no, that's not even a
part. I do that too, but to me, you're looking at this and nobody's gonna remember those 4 knuckleheads who threw beer on you, but everyone's gonna remember that fat guy that tried to climb the wall and do a reverse Lambo leap.
Reverse Lambo leap.
but it's a situation where I get it. You just lost a big game. It was a very emotional game. Seahawks players were talking trash about like, oh, one team we're not going to lose to is Jacksonville. I mean, even at the beginning of the season, we were saying like Jacksonville. Are you kidding, DJ? But you have to learn how to control your emotions in that situation. I definitely don't fault him as much as I fault Michael Bennett for what he did, because what Michael Bennett did was a scumbag move. At least this dude was provoked in a sense that people were throwing beer on him, which I do like sympathize with him because it doesn't feel good to have like alcohol thrown on you by a bunch of drunk knuckleheads in the stands who could probably get away with like murder. But Michael Bennett, he's a scumbag. I have no idea. Like his behavior is, it's absolutely disgusting. And I hope that. I mean, obviously Pete Carroll. Obviously, it comes directly from Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll's an asshole too. Pete Carroll was like actively defending. Oh, you didn't do anything wrong. Bro.
I think it's just that not the locker room mentality, but like the like it's his style of his system. Like obviously with Belichick, it's like I'm just putting whatever works. Kim is like, you know, just do
Belichick,
whatever.
Belichick bends the rules a lot, and you can tell Pete Carroll also bends the rules, but he bends the rules in other ways. You know, he like for Pete Carroll, he knows that if his guys, his defensive backs, excessively hold receivers, there's a possibility that flags are going to be thrown, but at the same time, when you're at home, there's a higher possibility that flags won't get thrown because you're at home. You know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like he uses the system to his advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he's not a horrible coach, but he's he's not like if something bad happens to the Seahawks, he's like, oh, that's so unfair. But then you're looking at like some of the worst calls in NFL history have been called for the Seattle Seahawks. So dude, just
stop.
chew your gum.
He has 6 packs of gum every game.
You know that scene in Spaceballs with Mel Brooks where he's like,
oh,
like my name is Charlene. My name is Charlene. Chew your gum.
Chew your gum. Oh man.
Let's move. Talk about sexual harassment.
Okay, so just so we're aware, we're going to be talking not just we're focusing more on the sports aspect, like what's been going on, but we're not
ESPN, NFL Network studio.
Yeah, but we could possibly talk about it in general as well. So to start things off, so a couple men at NFL Network got a bit frisky. No, I'm kidding.
Remember, Ricky, boys will be boys.
Yeah, just like obviously. Well, no, I'm kidding. In all seriousness, though, my thing is like, look, I believe in innocent until proven guilty, but at the same time, you have to understand that people want to get mad at some victims, because they think that, oh, they're just doing this for money, or why didn't you say this earlier? What a lot of people don't understand is that sometimes it takes a lot to get someone to admit that they've gone through that, whether that be just public embarrassment. They just, they don't want to admit it because they're in fear that someone might go after them,
might get fired, or
yeah, exactly. And a lot of people don't understand that people go through that, and like that's why you normally don't see anything come out of that. Now, as for Mr. McNabb, Falk, and Taylor, them being, the smart Alex they are. Obviously,
it was apparently Matthew Berry.
Oh, him too?
Yeah, the fantasy football guy on ESPN. Apparently, it's a witch hunt.
It's a witch hunt. Yeah, exactly.
In my thought process, I am absolutely disgusted by the comment that Donovan McNabb made. You should not be asking or inferring that a female colleague is a squirter. That's absolutely disgusting. And McNabb, favorite quarterback of all time. I'm a fan of him as a football fan. I'm a fan of some of his humor, but in the workplace, you should not be asking. That's one of those questions that are completely off limits. You should not be asking a woman or anybody that like a sexual question like that. Even if they're okay with it, there might be someone like who's like watching, who's like, wow, that's a disgusting comment to make.
Yeah, and it's and I want to bring this up too. Also, I think Warren Sapp is a part of this, and he admitted
that he went into the woman was using the restroom. I think it was like a unisex bathroom, like a oneie, and he peed right in front of her, pisses right in front of her, and his excuse was, "What? I think my CTE just acted up."
Yeah, I know, and like and I swear to God, he said, like, I guess in an interview, he said that he bought and I kid you not, he said he bought sex toys for one of the coworkers. No, I kid you not.
His excuse was like, they made
CT.
no. Like, oh, it's like it was like lipstick that was made to look like that, like actually like kind of look like a dildo or something like that. But it was like the company that he bought it from was like, no, we've never heard of you in our lives. We don't.
Yeah, there's another reporter where in the interview, someone asked her if she was planned on getting knocked up. I kid you not, is that, with that as well. And this is the underlying issue that I have with this kind of activity. It's like the problem is that and like I said earlier, many people, yes, I believe until innocent until proven guilty, but there are multiple occasions where they actually, I've been proven to do these kinds of things.
At the same time, there's no. You can say like, oh, boys are just being boys, or like, I will never speak to a female colleague again. It's like, yo, do you ask your female colleagues if they're squirters?
Yeah, like people don't understand. Like some people,
your male coworkers, how big their penis is. It's like no, that never, ever should enter anybody's mind. And
exactly.
And did you hear what Marshall Falk said?
No, I did not hear what he said. I know I heard a couple of the other ones.
Falk told her that he would like to fondle her breasts, that he would like to have sex with her, like to her face.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting.
Disgusting.
Look, I want to be very clear. Like this kind of stuff, like okay,
it's almost uncomfortable, dude.
Exactly. Like people don't understand. Like sexual harassment, that's like kind of outright, but like you got to realize, like that's just common decency in the workplace. You don't want to make people uncomfortable.
These comments go above, like, oh, I accidentally touched you on the butt.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've taken a picture with women. I usually like to emphasize the hovering arm over shoulder. But like, you try your best to emphasize the waist instead of the butt. It's just a little bit more classy if you're taking a picture. But people need to understand, like, people writing comments on Yahoo, ESPN, NFL, how will I ever never talk to a female coworker again? It's like, no, just don't be an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I worked at Rite Aid, I know it's Rite Aid, but still, like I had a ton of female coworkers, and obviously,
we've all worked at Rite Aid.
Yeah, I know. We've become one with Rite Aid, like the Borg. No, I'm kidding. But like, at the end of the day, like my job was just to do what I was told to do, and just sure, we would have conversations and just like talk about crap that was going on, but obviously, like it didn't get any more than that, and like. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like, and and just like I know it happens that it just happens to be that a lot of guys get called out, but women can do it too. It's not like it's only a male thing. Just so you're aware. Like I know a lot of people. Like I've met people that believe like, oh, women do it too. It's like I don't know why men always get called. It's because they happen to be It also happens to be some of these people are rich and famous, which probably. That their attitude is like, okay, I'm a football player, and I'm a famous football player while at it, so I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's that sense of entitlement that they've always had, and then you put women in the workplace, and we don't know what to do,
It's too for me.
Yeah, I just it's you have. I think every job I've ever had, I think probably every job you've ever had, they've always had sexual harassment seminars.
Oh yeah.
As a teacher, like I have to be extra careful because it's like 16, 17-year-olds who are underage, and what happens if I get accused. It's like I always leave the door open. I always make sure that they have a buddy in the classroom. I always make sure that I'm not alone with the student.
Yeah, I want to, and you bring up a valid point, Hank, because
things you never know. You never know. Because you can't trust them. I mean, one of my biggest fears is, a girl that I'm teaching is like, oh, Mr. Cinnamon did this to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm done. You're
Yep.
at that point. You're
Well, and there are, of course, many instances where this happens on a daily basis, and it's a horrible thing. I don't want anyone to go through it, regardless of gender. But the problem that I have also is that those that falsely accuse, right? In my personal opinion, if you falsely accuse someone of said crime,
Mhm.
you should get near the same punishment as someone that would have gotten that crime. Now, some people might say, "Oh, that's a bit, ridiculous, don't you think?" Well, let me put it to you this way: a lot of people don't understand that, like, when someone gets put, like, when someone on, like, gets a, say for example, you falsely accuse someone of sexual harassment, right? And that goes on the permanent record, and they go to get a job. Everyone's gonna start looking in that and be like, oh, well, and a lot of people don't realize that that can impact someone's life for the worst if you falsely accuse someone. If someone actually does that,
That's the reason why I believe in innocence before proving
yeah,
guilt.
exactly.
Give me the evidence that this stuff happened, and then I can, go on and say, wow, he's a scumbag, or she's a scumbag, or they're scumbags, because I'm not like, remember the Nelson Aguilar thing 2 years or last year
With
when
the weed and gun.
he was in a strip club and the
Oh,
strip
that. Okay.
he raping her, and I remember because Kelly always takes the woman's side unless it's a Zeke.
Unless it's.
but I was like, but she was like, this looks really bad, and I was like, first of all, if she's dumb enough to think that Nelson Aguilar is a good player, like, then that's just a dumb stripper. But I knew that it looked really, like, everyone corroborated the story that he didn't do anything bad, and it was just hunky dory afterwards. And now Nelson Aguilar apparently has a attractive looking girlfriend.
Yeah, well, we all know it's because Carson Wentz helped him get all those stats.
Right.
So,
Right.
well, Nick Foles is gonna help him out too. But, but look, as much as I respected like those football players for their football plays, like McNabb, I respected, Falk, I respected, because of their football plays and whatnot. At the end of the day, they have no right, just because, like, even if, like, just because if you have like 4 Super Bowl rings hypothetically, that does not make you in any way, shape, or form someone that's inexcused to this kind of behavior.
Yeah, it's inexcusable.
And it's just disgusting. So
absolutely inexcusable, and I really do think that the NFL needs, or these companies need to give these people help, because they obviously need it. Because peeing next to somebody, pissing on the ground right next to somebody, that's inappropriate. Asking a woman if she's a squirter, that's inappropriate. Giving coworkers dildos, that's not acceptable. Telling women you're gonna rope them and you think about them all the time, like, because I told my class after this, because we did like a unit on like sexting, and like I was like, so girls in the class, right? How many of you guys get like dick pics? And I was like, and then some of them raised their hand, and I was like, how many of you guys? What do you guys usually do? And they're like, oh, we'll like block them. We won't say anything to them. And I was like, okay, guys, what if you were to get like a picture of like a woman, like a naked picture of a woman? What would you do? And they were all like, like, well, and they were like, Mr. Cinnamon, what would you do? And I was like, I would just delete it,
yeah,
because I don't need it.
I don't need it.
Why would I need something like that? That's like,
and that's huge.
You also never know who you're getting that stuff from, or whether it's like child pornography as well. Like they took the picture of someone else. Like,
yeah. And in my opinion, like, because some people do say like, oh, what if someone's in a relationship? Obviously, like, I kind of look at it differently because if two people are in a open like they're openly in a relationship and they do that kind of stuff, okay, like I could really give a crap less. But then I tell people like you're stupid if you do that because then like people can leak that crap.
And it's over 18 because if you possess, even if you possess naked pictures of yourself and you're over 18, but those pictures were from when you were under 18, it's still
It still counts, yeah.
a felony. But let's move on from this.
Yeah.
I feel like we've exhausted
No, it's fine. I mean, it's a very important topic to cover.
important topic, and I think that these people need to get help. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
they need help.
So let's talk about the XFL. Yeah, I'm bringing that name up again. For those that are unaware, the Vince McMahon has gone on the record saying that he's looking. I forget the exact tweet. For the let me find it.
Is Donald Trump going to be a
He's going to be a commissioner, obviously.
commissioner of the USFL?
Even though that's like impossible.
The XF is it going to be the USFL or the XFL?
The XFL. Vince McMahon is looking to bring the XFL and may announce it on January 25th of next year. It says here right now, a WWE spokesperson issued the attached statement and the statement was Vince McMahon is established and is personally funding a separate entity from the WWE, Alpha Entertainment, to explore investment opportunities across the sports and entertainment landscapes, including professional football. Mr. McMahon has nothing further to announce at this time. So what this could mean is that he's looking to reestablish the XFL. For those that remember this or they're too young to remember, I mean, I know that I was probably 4 when it first came. I think I was 2 when it was founded, and then it was 4.
The XFL?
Yeah, the XFL, like 2001. So like I was pretty young, but
the XFL wasn't founded in 2001.
No, it was founded in 1999, but the inaugural season.
That's when it folded.
Yeah, but the point being is it happened earlier in the early 20th century or 21st century, excuse me. So,
me personally, that league isn't gonna last. I'm sorry. Like the NFL might be depleting, and the WWE might be. I don't know if you're a fan of WWE, but like I don't really care that much. Like I know the names of some of the players in there, like John Cena and there was a guy named Viscera. I remember him. Rob Van Dam. You know what they say when it comes to wrestlers and rappers in movies. You know, who's higher on the food chain, wrestlers or rappers? I remember when, what was it? There was a movie, and one of the actors was Ja Rule. Ja Rule got smoked immediately in the movie, even though he's on the cover of it. But I don't think it's gonna last that long, honestly.
Well, it depends. Yeah, like I think. Let me put it to you this way: I think that the XFL, the Desert Eagle 90 NFL is the XFL, if you know what I mean.
Oh, anything goes.
Anything goes. Yep. Well, my whole thing is like I really don't care, and at the same time, I think Vince McMahon. Like, I don't know if it's like, and I will say this: I think that this could possibly have a longer lifespan than the previous iteration, which only lasted like a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
But the point, well, mainly because people are kind of getting annoyed with the NFL with certain aspects of it. But then again, I will tell you this: the XFL is going to be bound to fail. We all are aware that and people will be like, well, the arena football things, arena football league's a thing, and I'm like, yeah, because it doesn't necessarily have the same rules as NFL football.
Not to mention, it doesn't even claim to. Doesn't occur at the same time as the NFL, and it doesn't even claim to be it doesn't even claim to be competing with the NFL. Like, for instance, I think there are like 3 arena football leagues right now. And DJ had a friend that we were gonna interview, but that never happened. who plays for one of the arena football leagues. But I honestly think that if the XFL is really going to work, they need to have the same rules as the NFL, and they need to be a developmental league for the NFL, which means that during the off season, I never understood why the NFL never tried to do this too, like have a developmental league for.
I would have loved that.
For player like kind of like a D league, you know.
But then I ask you this, Hank. You got players that come into the league at 24, 25, sometimes 21, and I would love the idea of a development league where like players could develop. But my thing is like and I'm not and you know this is what NFL Europe was. It was in essence the development league.
Yeah, but you have to fly people out to Europe.
No, I understand that, but the purpose was of that league to develop NFL players.
I never understood why like the NFL can't have a minor league, like not in a sense that it occurs at the same time as the NFL, but you know, to give people a chance to. And it was also what the UFL was. You know, that was around for a few years. I think Jay Gruden was a head coach of one of the UFL teams. But they need a developmental league so that you can have players, you can make players, develop the players during the off season, and like these college players who never make it, give them a career in the off season, you know?
Yeah, and like, well, here's my thing. Like, imagine, like they go to let's say they go to college until they're like, I don't know, like
23.
But this is the thing. The problem that I have with because you know in basketball you're drafting people at 18, 19, so of course they need time to develop, and normally they don't become a star until they're 22, 23. You know, unless they're really good.
Yeah.
And I think the issue with that is like if you develop a dude that's 21, well, yeah, I can understand that, but imagine you put a guy that's 25 years old there.
Yeah.
Well, then again, Kurt Warner, then, you know, I mean, he was 28.
Was in the NFL Europe for a while.
Yeah.
I think the only issue with that is the fact that I don't know how they did the rosters for NFL Europe.
They're just like, whatever.
Have a bunch of players, and then next year they wouldn't be back. Like, I don't know how the contracts would go, but I'm sure if they like, I know it would never happen because it's Vince McMahon, and he's very like him and Roger Goodell are on opposite sides of the excitement spectrum because, you know, Vince McMahon used to run one of the biggest wrestling leagues, and now he owns another one. But it's like show. It's like all that stuff was for show. Both of the leagues were for show.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff's real. It's all fake.
Yeah.
You know?
We all know that Tommy Maddox is the GOAT because he won a ring in the XFL, so.
Right. I don't know where it's gonna end up going, but you know, good luck. You know, Donald Trump is gonna be the commissioner of that league.
Donald Trump's gonna own the New Jersey Generals. Survive that crap. All right, let's get into our games. So, your games first. So we'll talk about that. Eagles going up against the Giants. It is Nick Foles' first start since 2014 as a Philadelphia Eagle.
It's Gucci. We got Nick Foles.
Look, before you go on, I just want to say that I am expecting the Eagles to win this game, but not only this game, they're probably going to win the following game. I think they're going to go 13-3.
That's a definite possibility that the Eagles go 13-3. This is going to be a tough game, honestly. I think that it's going to be a tough game in the sense of, I mean, when the Eagles played the Giants in week 3, I mean, it was a real close game, and the Giants ended up taking the lead. But now they don't have Brandon Marshall. They don't have Odell Beckham Jr. They don't have Dwayne Harris. Their best receiver is Sterling Shepard, and I honestly believe that, you know, the key to beating the Giants right now is not making mistakes, is to play defense and run the ball. And I hear that they might not have Landon They might not have Landon Collins.
Oh yeah, he got hurt in the Cowboys game.
He's doubtful, but the one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about too, like on a regular podcast, is like I don't understand why they don't have probable. Like they should have probable and they should have doubtful. Like because I feel like
Questionable.
doubtful and questionable are two things that mean something very similar to each other.
Yeah.
The guy who's like questionable and like they're like, but he probably won't play. And it's like, okay. So I think it should be probable and doubtful. I don't think questionable should be a thing. Because questionable, you're questioning whether the player is going to play, and doubtful is like, oh, I doubt the player is going to play. You know?
Yeah.
I think that I think the Eagles need to emphasize Jay Ajayi. I don't know if Stefan Wisniewski is going to play, which I'd rather him sit right now until he's healthy because Wisniewski is really the key to the Eagles' running game. They just got to emphasize the run. They got to play ball security. I mean, I've always said that some of the greatest quarterbacks have played in the playoffs and have never done anything. The playoffs are all about running the ball, offensive line play, defensive line play. And if you win those three battles, you're probably going to win the game. I mean, that's my philosophy. I guess I haven't really spoken on the whole Carson Wentz thing publicly besides on Ricky's channel. But all I'm going to say is that, when Carson was out, the Rams went ahead and they scored. It was 35-31. And Nick Foles came in, and I had confidence in him that he was going to win the Eagles the game. And, he wasn't the reason why the Eagles won the game, but if it wasn't for that drive, he made some pretty good passes, and then that 3rd and 8 to Nelson Aguilar, which basically clinched the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that that the Eagles are gonna win the Super Bowl without Wentz, but I'm gonna say that they're gonna be competitive with Foles. I think you can expect 1 to 2 touchdowns from Foles a game. I expect him. I mean, I at least try to expect him to be cautious because it's all about not turning the ball over in key situations in the playoffs. And, if Foles plays well and leads us to 2 wins out of 3, I'm not sure what the Eagles' game plan is against the Cowboys because we don't know if the Cowboys are – I think the Cowboys have a 4% chance of making the playoffs right now. What?
Hold up. You're getting an echo, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I don't know how to – am I better now?
Hold up, let me see. No, you still got that echo.
Hold on. Let me. How about now?
Let's see.
I'll just keep going. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But all I'm gonna say is that if Foles plays well, if Foles wins us 2 out of 3 games, then I'll be happy. But nothing's a given with this Giants team. They have nothing to play for. But the Eagles do have something to play for in a possible first-round bye and possible home field advantage.
Yes.
Throughout. If they win 2 of their next 3 games, that's exactly what they're going to receive.
Yeah, like obviously, if they beat the Giants, they're going to get they're going to get a bye week. They get a bye week for sure, but they don't get the 1st seed. However, see, I think the logic of and this is the biggest issue that I've had with Doug Peterson as I'm watching. Like, Wentz is phenomenal. I cannot take that away from him. As a Cowboys fan, I cannot take that away. But the thing that I predicted what was going to happen happened, and that was Doug Peterson kept calling, like, what?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to make sure, like, because sometimes it cuts out for me. But anyhow, Doug Peterson, you have LeGarrette Blount, you have Jay Ajayi, you have Corey Clement, you have all these pieces at running back, and you can take as much pressure off of Foles as you need. I understand that the offensive line's beat up. I get that. But at the end of the day, you have a very, very potent running attack that you can use with said pieces. I mean,
I've been saying that for a while, but in Doug's defense, the Eagles were down at that point in time.
I understand that, but the point is that
and when you're down, we pass the ball to get more yards down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, even with Foles, he passed the ball a lot too. I mean, the Rams were doing a good job stopping our running game. LeGarrette Blount has been absolutely ineffective. Ajayi has to be the featured back.
Oh yeah, I
right
agree.
now.
I think because he's younger, and
I think that I hope that with Foles, they'll become more conservative because it doesn't. They need to be more conservative. Foles has a better intermediate passing game. It's not as good with deep passing game, and obviously his mobility is hampered because he's a statue. But
statue.
he has. I think that Foles makes some decent decisions. I'd like to see how he plays as the starter again. Everyone knows that I've been waiting for this for a while, not because I don't like Wentz or because I want Foles to be the starter. I just want Foles to go out there and prove people wrong.
I mean, Foles, in my opinion, is the best backup in the league.
Oh yeah. If there's anyone I would want, it's like have you ever it's like Back to the Future, like the second movie where Doc Brown and the time machine, they go back in time and
yeah,
gets the letter from the telegram guy, and he's like, do you have somewhere to go? And he's like, there's only one man who can help me. But I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be somewhere between a 4 to a 7 point game.
Yeah, and I want to bring this up before we move on to the Cowboys and Raiders game. I've been seeing a trend from the Eagles that I'm not really like. Of course, I hate the Eagles because I'm a Cowboys fan, but looking at it objectively, the Rams shredded that defense. Like Gurley was running down your throat, and that is something that is kind of worrying. If and again, I'm not saying that they're gonna be one and done in the playoffs. Again, it depends on matchups. But I will say that if this problem persists over the next couple weeks, I would be concerned because as the Eagles pride themselves on a defense, and obviously a lot of people are saying "Oh, don't worry, our defense could carry us." In my opinion, I don't think the Eagles' defense is that good, like a 2015.
I also think that Todd Gurley. I mean, Todd Gurley is a freaking beast, though.
Well, that too.
A lot of those plays, you could probably ask Desert Eagle too about this if he's still on here. But a lot of those plays were blatantly missed tackles. I felt like Jenkins and McLeod gave up during that game.
Yeah, and look, obviously you guys are NFC's champs, but I think that you guys should be fine. And obviously, I think that the Cowboys game you guys should take seriously because if the Cowboys are in the position they win, they get in, you guys should beat them to ensure they don't get in. Because, looking at this objectively, you don't want a Cowboys team with a pissed off Zeke Elliott to get into the playoffs because you don't know what they can do.
At the same time, I would rather these players be healthy. Because if Wentz was still playing, then I would agree with you. But
okay, I got you.
We already have an injury, so I'll leave it up to the coaching staff to do whatever they want to do.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's talk about my Cowboys going up against the Oakland Raiders.
The Cowboys have a 4% chance of making it into the. Do you have the list of things that need to happen? The Cowboys need to win out. They need the Packers. They need the.
Okay, let me make this simple for these simpletons out there. You need either Carolina or Atlanta or both to lose twice. They need the Packers.
Granted,
lose once.
They both play each other.
That's the thing. So let me get back to. So first of all, the Cowboys had a 3% chance to make the playoffs when they were sitting at 5 and 6. Then it went up to I think 9.8% because of certain things that occurred. Now, obviously, if the Cowboys continue to win, the percentages consistently get higher. But and again, I'm getting more. I'm kind of nervous going into this game because from what I've heard, Sean Lee. He's got a back injury that just flared up in the last day of practice or whatever. So,
so unfortunate for him because he's such a good player.
I know, like, you can make the argument that he could be one of the better linebackers in the league. You can make an argument, not saying that.
Tony Romo said that he's like the quarterback of the defense.
Yeah. So my point being is that can the Cowboys win this game without Sean Lee? Yeah, probably. I mean, but am I overlooking the Raiders? Absolutely not. The Raiders are one of those teams where you don't know what you're gonna get. You could you could probably get a team that actually does, comes out guns blazing. But I think that that's not going to be the case because I feel like the Raiders are just tripping over themselves at this point.
Yeah, I think the division's going to come down to either the Chiefs or the Chargers.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, yes, was the decision to keep this a primetime game still a good decision? I would say either this one or the more importantly the Steelers and the Steelers and Patriots game, mainly because that actually both of those games, have playoff implications. I mean, obviously, Raiders are trying to keep their playoff hopes alive, and as well as the Cowboys.
But at the same time, CBS wants a game. You know, it was like the Eagles-Rams game. Like Fox wanted a game, so like
whatever.
About flexing games, it's like sure you flex a game, but at the same time, these networks want these exciting games as well. You flex all of them, or else the Steelers play on Sunday Night Football every week. You know, the Steelers and the Patriots play on Sunday Night Football or the Packers and the Seahawks and the Eagles and the Cowboys. They end up playing Sunday Night Football every week.
So I just want to be perfectly clear. I think the Cowboys should win this game. I'm not thinking I don't know why people insist it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a close game because Cowboys and Raiders.
I think you guys match up very well against them.
Yeah, let's be honest. We're pretty much carving copies of the same team. It's just one's
offensive line is not as good as your offensive line. Marshawn has been kind of disappointing this year. You guys have like a way better receiving core. You have better veteran players. You have a better defense. You guys, I mean, even if Sean Lee doesn't play, you guys still match up very well again.
Probably.
I mean, I know you're trying to be cautious, like I am always trying to be cautious, but like, I think the only thing they have on you is home field advantage.
That's pretty much it. I mean, but
really.
Then again, the Cowboys do play really well on the road, and considering the fact that you can make the argument that they are one of the better road teams because of the fan base that they have. In my opinion, I think the Cowboys play better on the road. But look, Cowboys just got to win this game. Obviously, it doesn't they could still win out and they could still miss the playoffs. But if we're looking at this Cowboys team objectively, they're 6-1 when Sean Lee is playing. They're 1-5. Yeah, they're what are they? 1-5 when he's out, and clearly that shows you that this Cowboys team, huh?
I think the one game was against the Niners. I think.
No, the one game was against the it was against the Redskins.
The Redskins, okay.
But and I will say that comes down to the Cowboys running the football effectively, which they can do as of late, as it was recent, I should say. So look, obviously, I believe that if the Cowboys had Sean Lee healthy the whole season, we're having a completely different talk about what the Cowboys are looking like. And that's why I can't really get mad if they, I would be upset if they lost, obviously, because I want them to make the playoffs. But at the same time, it's like, if you really are looking at it, the Cowboys have been drafting significantly well. And I don't want to look at the draft right now, obviously. Yeah. But the Cowboys have been drafting so well over the past couple seasons. The last thing you want to do is give them like a mid-round pick that could end up being a solid linebacker, which, by the way, I do want the guy from Georgia, Roquan Smith. I think he'd be a solid fit. But anyhow, I had the Cowboys winning 24-13. I think it's going to be a close one, but at the end of the day, I think the Cowboys have enough firepower to get it done. I think that their defense, their young cornerbacks are starting to play tremendously well. I mean, Awuzie, Lewis, Brown, everyone's starting to play up to par now and a lot better, and it's starting to pay off for the Cowboys.
What they say, the Cowboys only allow like 18 points a game against teams with Sean Lee on the field, and I think now it's less because they only allowed 10 against the Giants.
Yeah, I think it went down to 14, 13 or whatever. All right. So let's go ahead and start wrapping up this show with our
Ricky. I want to say one thing about that Giants-Cowboys game.
What?
That joke. A joke.
Oh yeah, I know.
The Giants had so many opportunities to just waste. Okay, let's go on. Let's move on to the thing.
I would be lying if I said no, but I get you. Anywho, let's get to our fantasy must starts and must sits for this upcoming week. If you guys are still alive and your fantasy football playoffs like I am, there's a couple things that I'm thinking are going to you're going to need to start and probably sit. So let's go ahead and start with quarterback.
Quarterbacks starts and sits. I would say start Drew Brees against the New York Jets. The New York Jets. And I would tell you to sit Marcus Mariota because that guy's hot trash.
I mean, we've been saying that over the past couple of weeks.
Have Marcus Mariota, get rid of him. Sign Case Keenum. He's a beast.
Me personally, I did say that Dak Prescott was one of my must starts for last week. He did end up putting up 26 points, which helped me to a win. I'm gonna say that trend continues. I'm thinking that you should continue to start Dak Prescott because obviously with the Cowboys on a hot streak, I think that Dak is now getting the hand of things, and I personally think that I think that he's going to be solid in this game, considering it is the Oakland Raiders. As for the following weeks, I don't know. But I would have Dak Prescott as my must start. As for my must sit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably say somewhere around... I'm going to say... I'm going to say don't start Aaron Rodgers. Yes, the man's coming back, but in my opinion, you got to realize that this guy, yes, he's Aaron Rodgers, but he's coming off of a broken collarbone on his throwing shoulder. So I'm not thinking he's going to be that guy as we normally saw before to start off. So I would say if you picked him up on your waiver wire, just give him another week.
Drop.
And then drop. And my must sit is probably going to be it's probably going to be Blake Bortles. Yes, he's going up against Houston, but in all honesty, I think that I don't think he's going to have a good game. For wide receiver, who's your must start?
My must start right now at wide receiver would have to be Adam Thielen. I think he's going to have a beast of a game. And I also think that you should start Doug Baldwin against the Rams. Their secondary is carved up a little bit, so expect some big games, and maybe even Julio Jones as well, who he had like 2 touchdowns, over 200 yards against the Buccaneers the last time they played. The Buccaneers.
Yeah. Let's see. My must start, it's probably going to be Brandon Cooks. I know I said that last week, and he only got like 3 points. But hey, it's something. But look, going into this game, I think that this is going to be a shootout between Pittsburgh and New England. As I say that, it's probably going to end up being like a 3-6 game. But but in all seriousness, though,
probably a 2 game.
I think that Brandon Cooks has a huge bounce back game. As for my must sit, I'm gonna go with Golden Tate. I think that over the past couple weeks, yeah, sure, Golden Tate is technically the number one in Detroit, but Marvin Jones Jr., who I have on my fantasy team, he's been lighting it up for me over the past couple weeks, and he's he's had tremendous games that helped me win. So yeah, running back. Oh boy.
Running back, I say if I have a running back, I would tell you to. I say start. Is Alvin Kamara going to be back?
Alvin Kamara. I think he's coming back.
So you start Alvin Kamara, and I say you sit Tevin Coleman because he will be out with a concussion.
Wow, fantastic logic. As for my must start, Kenyon Drake, if he is somewhere in your waiver wire, pick him up.
He is the most underrated right now. He is the most underrated running back in the league. He's a beast.
Yeah, like this dude has scored me 20 points in 2 consecutive weeks. This guy he single-handedly carried me to victory in my fantasy game.
He is a beast.
And going up against Buffalo, who has a pretty below average running game, and I don't know how the weather's looking. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be fine. Pick him up. I think he's gonna be a solid piece.
Looking.
And, yeah. As for my must sit, I would probably say what's his name? I'm forgetting his name already. Oh, I would say if whoever is the running back for Cincinnati, I know it's between Bernard and a Mixon. Yeah. Don't start them. Do not start any Cincinnati running backs. They're going up against Minnesota. In Minnesota, they have a tough defense. Just don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay, let's move on to tight end.
Tight end, I say start Gronkowski.
He's always a must start.
Start Rob Gronkowski and sit Vernon Davis. I don't know.
Yeah. So let me see. Give me a sec. Okay, my must start at tight end is Hunter Henry. I think that he did score a touchdown the last couple games, I think,
yeah.
And he helped me. With my Give me a sec. Someone was asking me, like, is he hurt? He's okay. Don't worry. He's fine. But yeah, he is a must start for me. I mean, he's been getting hot as of recent. As for my must sit at tight end, I'm probably thinking around the lines of Evan Ingram. Yes, he has helped me as well, but I just think that because of how poor Eli's been playing, no, just don't.
Some people are even saying it's a good idea to start Zach Ertz with how bad the Giants have been against tight ends.
Nixon. Just saying. Anywho,
defense. Don't start the Jets defense.
Well, you missed kicker. Just have someone that isn't Nick Folk, obviously.
Play Harrison. What's his name? Harrison Butker.
You always say that.
Butker.
As for the defense, I would say start Baltimore's defense. They're going up against Cleveland. I know, yes, they're at Cleveland, but
I know that I was not on to say this, but I want to say this right now.
Go ahead.
10 years ago today. Okay. Do you want to know what happened 10 years ago today?
Jesus Christ, I wonder what.
Certain I think they were 0-13. An 0-13 football team, went up against the Baltimore Ravens at home. And everyone thought it was grim. Everyone thought that this team was going to be the first team to go 0-16 in NFL history. That team beat the The Baltimore Ravens. What team was that?
I'm gonna. It wasn't the. Was it the Browns? I'm thinking it wasn't.
No. The Browns went I think 11-5 or 10-6 that year.
Oh, oh my God. What's Jesus Christ? What's the name of the team? I know what you're talking about. I don't remember.
Wasn't the Lions.
Give me a hint.
It's a fish.
It's a fish.
Yeah.
The Dolphins.
Yes, the 2007 Miami Dolphins, who ended the season 1-15, lost.
It's a fish.
Baltimore beat the Baltimore Ravens in week 15 to not go winless. Yes, Desert Eagle has the right idea. Guess what team is 0-13 right now?
It's soon to be 0-14, the Cleveland Browns, because I need them.
Oh, I see Desert Eagle 90 said we could have had Joe Mixon. Well, EDP.
Let me tell you something.
He thinks that too.
Look, man, we could have had Joe Mixon as well. Look, I don't know what EDP is thinking. Like, it's too funny. Have you seen his whole piece on like how not Nick Foles, Carson Wentz he snapped it?
No, I haven't seen it because I haven't seen it.
Too funny.
I haven't seen anything from EDP since like last offseason. Ever since these words came out of his mouth, I'm so glad we have Donnell Pumphrey.
That's it. He doesn't know anything.
And he was saying that he was the one who was like talking the most crap about Nelson Aguilar. Like, at least I wasn't threatening him.
Well, after my must say, I'm gonna say if you have Chicago's defense or the Jets, no.
Jets defense, they at home.
No, not Detroit. Speaking of which, they play at 4, I think.
They play soon. They play very soon. They play at 3 here because I'm in Texas.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Haas. But it's gonna be a good week. I mean, it should be exciting, Yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see Nick Foles play again. The GOAT. We Gucci. We got Nick Foles.
Yeah. So before I head out, I need to announce that me and DJ, when we do the full podcast, we are going to be doing another podcast on Mondays. It's going to be the Full Court Press with me and him. It's a basketball-oriented show. We'll be talking about a ton of basketball stuff on Monday. That'll be on my channel, but I will also put up the full thing on Facebook in case you haven't missed it. Just so, yeah. So, like, you could see more sports. But yeah, enjoyed this week as well. We got some football to watch. Obviously, I had to be scoreboard watching, of course, Detroit's game because if they lose, that helps the Cowboys out tremendously.
Oh, I was a Nelson Aguilar hater too. But did you know Desert Eagle has to buy a Nelson Aguilar jersey?
Wait, does he really?
I thought you already had to. He doesn't. I thought he doesn't. Hold on. How many receiving yards does he have this year?
A lot. Not a lot. I think it's like 500, 400, 500.
He has 8 receiving touchdowns, 7 receiving touchdowns, 660. Hey, that's doable. That definitely is doable.
I will say this, and before we go, I did say before the season started that the Eagles had to use Nelson Aguilar in the slot where that's his bread and butter. And guess what? He's all of a sudden some touchdown machine now. Well, I wouldn't say that, but you get the point.
I also will say this: when Chimp brought Tim Tebow onto the team, I said if the Eagles go 10-6 this season, I'm buying a Tim Tebow jersey, and thank God that never happened. All right, is that all we have to say?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all good.
All right, cool. So everybody, stay safe.
Don't die.
Don't die. Please don't die. If you die, then I will sue you.
Yeah.
But everyone, I hope you guys have an awesome day. There's a lot of college football today. I think Boise State, Oregon is the most interesting one.
Yeah.
That's all we have.
All right, guys. Peace.
Good night.